everybody benefits from learning the other language, but the other languages require overcoming a certain kind of fear.
If you do the contextualizing thing, it's almost like you turn on the lights too bright and I'm going to see something that I don't like.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. And I should have turned the lights on, and so now it's like the lights are on and it's like, whoa, like.
Sometimes the people that you can't stand the most are the ones that are you're getting turned on by. That's a terrible situation.
Don't I know it? Don't I know it, John?
The big hormone enneagram.
I'm John Lekovich, 415, sexual self-pres, 458 trifix.
I'm David Gray, self-pres sexual, 9 with 1 wing, 974 trifix.
What up, it's Emeka. I'm an 8-wing-7, sexual self-pres with 854 fixes.
Hi, I'm Nancy. I'm a 3-wing-4, self-pres social, a 369 trifix.
Hi, I'm Alexandra. I'm a social self-preservation 9-wing-1, 963 trifix.
If you like or hate us, make sure you go like and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and make sure you leave us a review.
Y'all deserted us last week, and we had an amazing show because we are the stars of the show.
Okay, of course. Of course.
We generated so much new ideas, and it was beautiful.
Oh, you did? It was
There's going to be multiple offshoot podcasts now.
Yeah, it was incredible. Just the magic that happens when David, Nancy, and Alexandra are not present. That's what I started with.
The type sleeve.
Oh, that's what I said in the intro of the show. This is what happens when I don't have to hear Alexandra and David.
God,
yapping all the
time. Just nonstop jibber jabber.
They talk so much.
Yeah.
This is a hexad. What is it? Hexad supremacy.
Oh yeah. It was amazing.
Reading attachment types and
magic
just
happens.
Stay in your zone of delusion. Yeah. Okay, cool.
We didn't have a conversation. We just
Super
took turns.
chill.
We just took turns lecturing each other.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, that's how I imagine it's going to be.
It's just how we talk.
But we had some topic ideas that I thought were cool. I wrote some of them down. Like, we've discussed some of these before. Instinct love languages. We went on a little track of how the social instinct interferes with sexual selection. I was going off about racial dynamics. We talked about female gaze versus the male gaze. Yeah, there were some interesting offshoots there.
Yeah, another potential topic that I'd brought up in the chat was the way we make our dominant instinct like a religion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because I was thinking about all right, like we've all talked about it in those terms, but what does that mean? And I was thinking one of the ways I kind of see that I make sexual instinct a religion is I kind of feel like so much of what is fucked up about people has to do with not listening to the sexual instinct. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Just like just that whole thing about social selection or the way social instinct interferes with mating and things like this. And I think that people have really bad problems with emotional intimacy. And I think there's a whole thing about the way that people I don't know, the way sexuality becomes both just a fun thing, but also it's the serious thing where it's love making happens, and that kind of people aren't very good at knowing how to distinguish between those in a certain way. You know what I mean? It's all really meaningful or it's all really not. So I don't know, those kind of things are interesting, or I can imagine that we all have our own version of that for our dominant instincts.
Yeah, well, you and I have sexual. Alexander's got social and David's got self-pres, so we could do it. You could also offshoot instinct love languages into that too, how we manipulate and interpret what love is.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing in a certain way. What do the nines think?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I'm just
vibing,
framing it up right now. I mean,
floating through space.
I don't know if we're already getting into it, but with my stacking, talking about, let's say, intimate romantic relationships, partly because I'm social blind and I'm my specific stacking, I'm thinking of the expression of love, let's say, primarily as totally nonverbal, sensual touch, right? So it's very self-prezi and, comfort infused with sexuality and that kind of thing, and that would and should be how everybody does, talking about it as a religion, right?
For sure.
How everybody does, it should be how everyone does that kind of display of affection and love.
Yeah, I relate to, I've been learning to be more verbal, and it's like a conscious practice that I'm trying to integrate with my social type, but
she demands it.
She demands, what do we call it, baby?
My need for verbal?
Yeah, we call it something. I can't remember.
What, the love cup?
Maybe something like that.
The love cup.
Pour some words into.
Tell
the
us some
cup.
more about the love cup.
That's literally that. Everybody wants their cup full, and they want their cup
Don't
full
assume.
in a race.
Don't assume.
They do.
Don't
They
assume.
fucking do. Fine.
See, you're making it a religion now.
I guess you four
this is a religious war.
don't need it.
Don't project your social 9 love cup propaganda on me.
Love cup propaganda.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that's what he's specifically talking about, but yes, the love cup theory is everybody wants to be loved in their specific way, and have a sort of steady stream of that particular language coming their way. So I don't know if it sounds like that's not what you were talking about.
No, that's probably it. And then, but say more.
What about mine?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your demands?
Are you
for love expression?
Are you a words of affirmation person?
I'm a words of affirmation bitch. Yeah.
Man.
So that's okay. So I guess the 5 love
I didn't
languages.
know that.
You should
kind of
quite know that.
correspond to the instincts in a weird way. Like words of affirmation would have to be social.
Mm-hmm. Well.
Yeah, it could be. I thought I was quality time. I thought that was my top one, forever. And I do think that they're intrinsically linked to each other. So this obviously doesn't have to be a conversation about the 5 love languages, because I do think that's a separate thing. But
right.
Yeah, for me in particular, I like an open channel of verbal exchange, and I like emotions and just emotions and feelings expressed verbally in a kind of continuous flow. It doesn't have to be always, and honestly, that gets very easily complemented and supplemented with quality time, just experiencing each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think experiencing each other, that can be touching, but it's also just it's experiencing each other in an engaged way. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily I don't know, doing things facing the same direction side by side together. It's facing each other and engaging with each other kind of way. Does that make sense to you guys? The 3 social blinds I'm speaking to.
The thing you said that caught my attention in there was the thing about continuous flow. So that's part of the social blind problem, right? Like when I'm dating someone who's got social, it sometimes, I don't know, there's a thing where it's oh, okay, this person needs this verbal something, right? And I'll go through a checklist, and I'll give them three verbal things. Here you go. Here's the 3 verbal things. Okay, is that good enough? Let's get this out of the way.
No,
it's that kind of thing.
Water the plant. Yeah,
it's
keep the soil watered.
Right.
Yeah, that feels like there's a limited supply of words and engagement before I run out, and I can't engage with you at all.
That's interesting because I see it as I see it as its own creative energy. It's just you're playing with each other, and that just happens to be the medium that you're using. So sometimes you can pull in externals by doing something together to give you fodder for that kind of exchange. But it's to me it's its own creative force.
It's
and it doesn't have to be profound or anything like that. It just has to be just playing, flirting, talking about things, talking about each other, I love to talk about our connection. So I get real heavy in that. Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, for like with us, like touch is my dominant love language for sure. And so I'm always like touching, I'm squeezing her, we're like physically sitting by each other, and I'm not just like passively touching, I'm like actively all over her. And I'm like
touching inside,
touching everything, and she will be like, "But do you love me?" and I've been like,
am I just an object to touch?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I've been like, no, baby, this is like how, I'm wanting you, I'm connecting, and she'll be like, but doesn't it just flow through words or something like that? And like I have to really like pause and come up with words because it's very unnatural. Like it like the wave of love does not go very well through my head center or something, It's like it goes through my heart and body. And I respond very physically romantic, like in a romantic sense, like I get intimacy boners and things like this. So it's all very there. And so we came upon some of our old text messages when we were apart, and we were like very lovey and expressive. And it's like, because we're distant, that's much easier for me to like,
Sure.
but when we're all close together, it's hard for me to, to think from that point of view.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to more, and I'll just try to sometimes just be like, I love you out of nowhere or something like that, just to kind of like put the juice in the cup or whatever.
Yeah. It's interesting that my longest relationship was a long distance relationship. And I recognize now that because a long distance relationship forces you to verbally flirt and be romantic. And to your point, Alexandra, like it is a playful, energizing thing, but as a social blind, it feels like I only have a limited supply of juice available for me here, where before it becomes a draining thing. Whereas it's like the sexual is like, oh, this could go on and on and on and on and on. Whereas the social is like, this is great and it feels good, but it feels like I have a limited supply of energy from this before I, collapse. But I recognize that the switch between long distance to we're together now is like, well, now that I can see and touch you, I don't have to say anything.
Totally.
So that aspect of it diminishes significantly. Definitely something that I want to make more effort in working on. The thing is, I found out from OD, like one time I realized that he was doing so much more talking because we had gone on a date with the same girl. So she told me what he was saying. And because I've been trying to figure out for years, like, why is he so sticky? Why is it that girls like stick with him for years and they only want to see me for a month? It's like, and so it turns out that he's like complimenting girls. I'm like, are you complimenting girls? And so maybe I started trying to compliment girls, and it just didn't seem congruent to my character because people don't expect me to say those things. But he is much more verbal than I am. And so what I found out, it was that he was so complimentary. He was saying so many things like to make her feel appreciated, and that she ended up feeling super confident of how much he was into her. And I guess if you're not doing that, then how is she going to feel appreciated? I mean, some people, that's how they interpret your interest, is that you tell them repeatedly.
Well, one of the ways that like Alexandra has shown me, well, I don't know. So Alexandra mentioned that she likes to talk about our relationship, like in a kind of like a meta way. And it's been really good for me because I like to do that now too. And it helps actually contextualize things. Like one of the ways to, express love, but also reassure, is to say like, this is the most something I've ever experienced, or this is the deepest I've ever felt for somebody, or things like that. And in doing that, it's been an exercise in seeing things that were, it's like that thing that we sometimes talk about where it's like putting like outside social instinct eyes on something and labeling it, and then you like can see things like we were talking about. We said that with fashion or something last time, Emika.
Yeah.
Like like kind of like giving it like a social snapshot and being like, oh, I was missing all these other things, you know, like
right.
There's something about labeling in a specific meta way that contextualizes, which just sounds like so fucking basic on some level, but it's like, no, it contextualizes things. And so, we talk about a relationship a lot because it's, I mean, besides it being a way to communicate our love and significance of certain things, it's also like, for me, it's contextualized things in a way that it's made me awake to stuff like needs I didn't know I had, and things that were missing before, that it's like, oh, this is actually non-negotiable, but I was like allowing myself to negotiate with it in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it gives you like a gestalt of what's going on. I don't know if I'm even using that word correctly, but like another way I kind of see it, and I don't know if this is 9 or if this is social, maybe combo of both, but it's, for me, exactly what you guys are talking about is that's a way for me to get space from the immediacy of what feels good. Do you know what I'm saying? And so like, obviously like the sexual instinct is a lot of like really like, how do I say, it's engagement in a different way than social is an engage. They're both engagements. But there's like there's more fusion with the sexual instinct, and with the social instinct, there's like, I don't know, this is kind of hard to parse out between like social sexual because they do their own fucking weird thing. But the way that I see it is like there's a way to get space from, your immediate engagement, your immediate like hits, your immediate things that feel good, things that feel bad. And if you zoom out and look at the whole thing, you can, at least I feel like I can have a much clearer picture of what's going on. I guess that's all on that. There was something else I wanted to say too, I guess, regarding like what you guys were saying about it's easier to be verbal when you're separate versus when you're close, because when you're close you don't have to like explore different avenues to keep that juice going or whatever. I guess I'm seeing mine as, and I guess this is what all the stackings are, your dominant instinct is just a gateway to get to your blind spot. Because that's often what it is for me, is I like need the like social interaction, I need the social energy exchange, blah 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 blah, for me to like sink into like the deeper layers. And I see that reflected with John too, like when we're really close and really intimate, we can have this like non-verbal exchange, then suddenly he wants to talk a lot. Then suddenly he's like telling me how he feels about me and stuff like that. So I do wonder if that's the same for everybody.
It's interesting that what you said, something like zooming out to get a better picture of what's going on in the relationship, and which feels very social. But and so the opposite for me is, I'm the opposite. It feels like the whole mission is for me and my romantic partner to get into a smaller and smaller cave that has no labels at all, and that it's just like a sensual merging that could go anywhere and not have sort of a perspective that's sort of outer, if that makes sense.
Totally.
I was thinking,
and there are,
oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just, my last comment on that is there are definitely benefits to that and ways that I have needed to learn how to do that, because I have spent most of my life being too zoomed out to the point where I was not focusing on the immediate impact, on the immediate like, oh, this, like from a distance, we're doing all the things we need to do, but in the tiny, underground cave, this is not fun. This is not interesting. I don't like how it feels.
Yeah, that's interesting. Right.
It just has the sort of zoomed out image, if you want to say that.
Right.
Yeah. So you need both.
Yeah, it's this feeling that each of the stackings is looking at anything like a relationship, as like this is what has life force. This is what's real, and this is what I have to continue to reinforce in order to feel like this is a real thing.
Yeah.
And so what I noticed with a lot of social is that the sense of feeling, how do I reinforce this relationship? How do I get the sense that I'm valued in this relationship? And so this sense of we need to contextualize our relationship and frame it. This is the social point of view. And so there needs to be a verbal exchange so I know how you feel about me. Because to me, from the social blind perspective, if there's like an energetic engagement where we're provoking each other from a sexual instinct or attraction point of view, which doesn't even have to be verbal. The social is like, I need to can we like together locate this relationship, place it contextually, so that we can reinforce it, so this can feel more real. And from the sexual point of view, as long as we're like instigating and provoking each other and sort of turning each other on, we still have a thing. And from the self-pres point of view, it's like, as long as we are holding each other, and in the sense like feeding each other, then that sense of, so it feels like competing interests, and everyone, depending on their instinctual stacking, is going to have this imbalance. So this is what I think a relationship is, and I need you to give me more of this, because I feel like if we don't reinforce this aspect of this relationship, then we don't have a relationship.
Yeah, and I think that I think that something along the lines of everybody benefits from learning the other language, but the other languages require overcoming a certain kind of fear.
Yeah.
Like, in my book, I talk about how the fear. I'm getting over sickness, so I'm still pretty foggy. But we keep the blind spot blind because we think that if we integrate the blind spot, it'll set off the fears or trigger the fears of the dominant instinct. Mm-hmm. And so I think like social blind relationships or people in relationship, it's like if you do that contextualizing thing, you're going to find out it's not so special maybe, or it's going to not be so whatever.
If you do the contextualizing thing, it's almost like you turn on the lights too bright and I'm going to see something that I don't like.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. And I should have turned the lights on, and so now it's like the lights are on and it's like, whoa, like, I mean.
That's what you really look like? That's how you really live in?
Yeah, well, I mean, now it's like, oh, these are the lights are on and it's good, actually,
right.
But it's like, there was a lot of information in, when I was younger that was like resisting because fear being lonely and stuff, I guess.
Mm-hmm,
It's just like you turn it on from a social instinct point of view and Right. And so I can imagine, I mean, I don't know, Alexandra as a sexual blind, like, I don't know.
I was not trying to turn the lights off.
Why?
Not trying to do that.
What is the fear there?
Well, what is the fear there? I know it I have the impression. I don't know. It's just like a fear of mess, a fear of like, will we still like each other afterwards? There's like a sense of precariousness too. There's a sense that like, if anything changes, the like outer zoomed out sort of like gestalt changes, and that's the only way this is working.
So maybe like,
and then there's also just like the sensory part of like, I don't want the lights off. I need to see what's going on.
Right. Like the things that happen in the dark could fuck up the thing, up the outer, big picture.
Yeah, totally. So being in a cave, the hearthy cave was not, I need everything in its proper place. I need the light coming through the windows. I need a lot of breeze.
What do you think of the cave now?
I love the cave. Fuck the light. Who cares? Just kidding. We need the light too.
Almost a religious convert right there. Almost.
Yeah. No, I've fallen from grace for sure.
You've been defiled and ruined.
The lights, the turning off the light or turning on the lights is a really good way to put that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that on some level I've said this before, and maybe this is forfeit stuff too, but knowing that I'm going to be repulsed by most people, that I want to create as many situations where I want to delay having to see this person before the hooks get set in, because once I'm sexually hooked, then I can forgive a lot of things. But if I'm sitting there looking at you in broad daylight, I'm probably not going to like you. And so it's this fear that the social instinct is going to ruin the attraction that
the attraction drug.
Yeah, the drugs. It's like, oh man, you like this stupid show, I can't have sex with you anymore. You know, like
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like being in a dark theater or bar or something with a heavy atmosphere,
right?
And you know that if the lights are on, you just see that it's like some cheap material, and it's like, yeah, like the people there are actually kind of ugly, and it's like all the mystique will just go.
Like you're dancing with some girl, you're like, oh man, she's so hot, and then the lights come on after the last car, you're like, oh shit, that's what you look like. It's like that you're trying to figure out how you can get out of it so you don't have to do the thing that you signed up for. Or you wake up the next day, you're like in the morning, you're like, oh no, what have I done?
We're speaking metaphorically, of course.
Metaphorically.
We would never be judging anybody.
That's never happened to me.
No, they would never be judging anybody.
Well, another thing too in that, I don't know where this is quite going, but there's also the light of social makes you look at yourself in a particular way.
Mm-hmm.
That I think can, for social blinds, be like shame-inducing.
Totally.
Yes.
No, that's major.
One thing I've realized for me in the last couple of years, basically having to really take a hard look at myself socially. Maybe I'm not really fully embodying a social position well enough on who I am that I'm just like for the taking. I'm just like, socially slutty in the sense that I'm just open for whoever wants to throw themselves at me. And so, yeah, just gotten really serious about like, what exactly is my social standard? And to never even say yes, even if it's a casual thing, even if it's someone who's throwing themselves at me, just be like, no, I don't approve of you as a person. So why would I debase myself in that way?
Socially slutty seems to be a familiar topic. I might be slightly familiar with that also.
Yeah, because it's like I realized that I was compromising myself.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like dealing with it's as a compensation for some kind of like insecurity about unworthiness. And that doesn't feel good. But it's definitely a thing.
I think you and David, like David, I don't feel, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't feel like you have as much insecurity about maybe attractiveness, but I think it's maybe more for you. There's a worthiness there too. It feels a little bit actually more like your social instinct. Like, I don't know, Emeka, if it's like you like nail it all in your sexual instinct or it's like sexual instinct without social or something, but I see similarity in both of you guys in a certain way, but it's a little different.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how to frame it. I mean, well, part of it is just the 9 thing. I think of it as the 9 sort of chronic difficulty around going to 3 is to me a major thing, which is, first of all, someone giving me attention, and this is part of my social sluttiness. Right, so someone giving me attention, it's just like I don't know. It's a sort of a cheap hit of going to 3 in the sense that they're locating me, valuing me, raising me up in some way to some degree, and so it's kind of like a cheap drug hit, rather than but it's so completely external. You know what I mean? It's like I didn't already do that myself. I didn't already locate myself, into a single point and value myself and raise myself up to perhaps what is my true self-esteem level internally. And so it's like I get it externally, and then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can ride this for a while and see where this goes.
Because one of the things that was pretty cool about our, being in Spain was seeing how much Kaisa likes you. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, when we had that Florida zone, and there was somebody there that,
oh man, like
was treating you like an object rather than like as a partner. Mm-hmm. It was cool to see, just like you guys felt like a real couple, like a real match for each other, and really into each other on the sexual wave, but also on the social wave, also on the intellectual wave.
Yeah, no, it's a different kind of presence that brings, that snaps me into, because it does include, since she's got social respect for whatever, I don't know what you'd call it, attainment that I've achieved relative to Enneagram field and having a name or whatever and all that stuff. Plus, just disregarding all that stuff, just appreciation of my ideas and intellect and those kinds of things, which, I go between, on that score, I go between either just cocky 7-fix or just total, just thinking that I'm tricking everybody, you know, with all my conceptual voodoo or whatever.
Also, too, I'm not sure if I was hearing this correctly, but I just want to reiterate, like part of the way that she's seeing you socially too is and I think this would be helpful for like the three of you being social blind, is that social sometimes, a way that you can maybe kind of see it is like almost like you were designing your own dating profile.
Yes.
That has like all of those like dumb little things. Like I've seen too many dating profiles just from being in like chats and stuff. But it's stuff like answering like it, you know, your political party, how tall, like, I don't know, there's some dumb shit on there, but then every now and then there's a question that I see that's like, the only thing that would make my day better is, and then you answer with some dumb thing. And some people answer it very genuinely. Some people answer it like really silly or something like that. Like those are all both personality and character traits that come out that people either like or dislike. And so I guess where I'm getting to is Kaisa also sees that you are funny, that you're kind, that you're smart. So it's not just like social, it's not just like achievements and like clout or whatever. But she sees that you're smart and that you're funny and that you're kind and that you can volley back and forth between being like more humble and being really, that's fun, you know, and those are, that's stuff that I've had to point out about John. And I think, Emeka, that's something you need to like take stock of those things about yourself.
No, that was a good call
see
out.
What people are responding to.
I really appreciated in Spain that the second night we were all drunk and you were giving us a call out on just sort of not recognizing some of our whatever social instinct contribution or whatever, or what, I can't remember, you know, it was sort of not giving ourselves credit. Well, and especially it was me just sort of like in the space of, say, online chat groups or whatever, sort of not holding the social aspect of myself that is altruistic or that kind of thing. It was something along those lines.
Yeah, that you're a genuinely kind, caring person, and that often gets like, I don't know, just dismissed or just not acknowledged.
It's like recognizing with social that I'm a 3-dimensional person. That with social blind, you can kind of like, well, people will only care about me because of this, that, and the other. Because of I'm interesting.
It's like a modular object thing. I've got this object I can plug in, and then I don't have anything else.
And so it's like you're not seeing your own humanity. You're not seeing that people have formed a relationship with you as a human being with all these qualities that are complex and don't necessarily have to be useful or interesting. It's just you as a character that matters to someone in someone's life. And it can be hard to just wrap my head around that people want or like you without any sort of sense of utility. That it's just you as a person, is people just like you because of your character.
And I think that is very specific to social blind, the like not knowing why people would like you outside of your utility, because self-pres is the measurement of how you can sustain and care for each other, but care in like a different way, not in like a care in like a, can I protect the object, right? The physical matter across space and time. And then sexual is like, how exciting can this person be to me? And like, what kind of exchange could we have? social is a different kind of thing. It's just like, how do I feel around this person? And it's very specific to parse out, because self-pres is also kind of, how do I feel around this person? But
True.
to me, self-pres is more like, can I like trust this person as a partner to handle like responsibilities, stuff like that.
Well, it's also,
go ahead.
sorry for interruption, but like self-pres is also more, it's much more, how is this person making me and my world feel?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my world, yeah. That's
Like
good.
a co-regulating object.
Yes.
That's good. Yeah, where social is more like, and I know we've said this in this exact way a million times, but I don't know how else to say it. It's just like, do I like this person?
Yeah.
Do I like this person outside of like, does this person turn me on? If I'm like not feeling turned on because I'm like sick or something like that, or because I'm emotionally going through something, is this person someone that I'm going to want to be in my environment or not?
Mm-hmm.
Also, just being in states of excitation all the time is just not good for you. It's just not good for you. And no, I mean,
Speak for yourself, Alexandra.
No, I mean, like,
It's hard to imagine, but yeah.
I mean,
No,
like,
I
it really is like states of, it's either cortisol or it's adrenaline. Both of those have like wearing effects on your body.
yeah.
So you actually can't be in
No.
sustained states. Of course,
No.
like the
So
sexual
you're saying I
instinct-
don't excite you?
Shush.
Are you trying to
Of course.
invalidate my experience as a sexual type with science? I'm in a state of
Just
excitement
saying.
all day.
No, but it's getting at that drug addict aspect of the social blinds, both stackings. It does have that junkie thing of, it's
Totally.
so self-involved and so much about the next charge excitement thing that it's, you're just looking for the next fix.
Yeah, so outside of those fixes, do you also want to be around each other? Do you make each other laugh? Do you respect each other? That kind of stuff.
Well, here's the thing. With the sexual instinct, I might reshape what you just said and think it's social, but I can make it still sexual charge. I can make it that as long as my personality is a series of instigating or activating certain reactions from my romantic partner, that I'm making her laugh, or there's some kind of story or some kind of interesting thing that we can fuse into together, it can feel like connection.
Mm-hmm.
So the sense of connection, but it's coming from like keeping an energetic electricity string between us going. Like, it's not even saying that it always has to be charged, but like the potential for charge is always there, that it's like, oh, I can momentarily slip into, oh, we're both activated. She's activated by me. Or, I said something funny, or I did something, silly with some look or something. And that's sort of like, okay, she's still there, like that sense of we're still connected, but it's more of a connection by way of charge.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that we're constantly charged all the time, but I need to feel like the potential for charge is readily available. And that's what connection feels like to me.
Yeah. I guess it's just one of those things of like oxygen feeds fire,
But the social thing feels more like there's multiple threads of relationality, conversation, or maybe it's like we watch a show together and it's something that we can discuss and we relate to each other through it. It feels more a way that we can see each other through things and relate to each other. It could just be one-on-one, but it feels much more, it just feels more about seeing.
It is, yeah. Seeing, for sure.
Also a lot of like play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Playing around.
Yeah, because I guess the way to see it is like take those aspects in like a romantic sexual setting versus in a platonic setting. Like, you're still going to have seeing and play with somebody that you're platonic with, but you're not going to be charged up by them.
Oh, well, see, it's, as a sexual type, it's all the same. Like, it's not sexual in the sense of like my relationship to my friends. Like, there has to be some kind of charge for me to be interested. Like, I will, as a sexual type, it has to come through the sexual instinct. So I'm not going to be friends with someone whose personality does not activate something, electricity for me.
Yeah, I mean,
I couldn't be a friend with
like
someone.
Three
like
of
that.
us guys here. I mean, we're super hetero bros, of course, but I mean, there's
Speak for yourself, David.
Sure, guys. Sure.
But I mean, that's part of the thing with the three of us is that there's a sexual instinct kind of sense that there's an edge of creativity kind of that we could go into at any time or something like that. And that's part of the connection.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the weird thing that can be, I've been paying more attention to this of when I feel really uncomfortable and I feel like, and it can happen in any conversation where I feel like I have to leave my skin, or the sense that I need to throw something at the wall and it feels like there's nothing happening and someone's talking. And if what I'm realizing is happening is that the sense that there is no potential for any creative, there's no creative potential here, and it feels like I'm being suffocated.
Mm-hmm.
And I feels like that I have to do or say something to bring it back to some arena where I feel like that potential is there. And it's really, it can feel like I need to jump out of my skin. I have to do something because I'm being suffocated by this conversation, by this dynamic. That's what, yeah.
Yeah, that's bringing up ways that I have not included the sexual instinct in friendships to me too. Where sometimes I think like the only thing that should matter is like, oh, we're both, like I agree with them as a person, that kind of thing, but then just bore me to hell. And I find out like, or not find out, but then I find myself just like avoiding, or when we're here, when we're in person together, then I'm just kind of glazed over thinking about other things, but they're a nice person and they're my friend and I care about that, that kind of thing. So that's rough. All right. New lesson unlocked.
Yeah. We're all doing all our dominant instincts, everything, friendships, relationships, we're overusing it.
Yeah. There's plenty of people I like, but I don't want to be around, I like them a lot and I can like love them or whatever, but I couldn't really stand to be around them for
Yeah, that's really interesting because I can think of interesting people that I think are shitty fucking people.
Sure.
Yeah.
But just based on the fact that they're shitty people, I'm like, I don't care how interesting you are. You're not ever going to be around me, that kind of thing.
See,
and I'm not saying that it's necessarily the reverse for you guys, but it's,
well, yeah, I can
done
say
it.
that.
Significantly that way, yeah.
My sexual history has demonstrated that I don't have to like people to want to fuck the living daylights out of them. Sometimes the people that you can't stand the most are the ones that are you're getting turned on by. That's a terrible situation.
Don't I know it? Don't I know it, John?
Yeah, no, that was, the first love line, that question was asked of who's my desert island romantic partner. And it was the person that I had the most volatile relationship with ever. I mean, we just hated each other, but the sex was just the hottest ever.
Sex was fire.
Yeah. Something that's like fucked up, but it's been a weird way for me to like explore my sexual instinct is like John and I have talked about like what kind of crazy toxic exes we would be to each other because we were so attracted to each other that if I like came to hate him, it would still be this like, God damn it. I'm just gonna just totally fall from heaven into the 7th layer of hell because I'd still try to come after him.
You'd be coming over to the apartment to go pick up some things that you've purposely left behind.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you help me go find it in the back room real quick?
And she's bending over.
Just the toxic mess that I would become. It's insane. And it's funny too, because before that, when people would talk about like having messy relationships with their exes, like what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Keep it in your fucking, like what are you doing? Nothing can be that good that you're going back to some shitty dick. But
we have some visitation rights for the cat boys. Come over for the exchange and
John would just stalk me, I think.
Oh yeah.
Man.
Anyway, that was it.
Yeah. I think of what one needs in a relationship. I think I've only dated long term, like one social type, and just the amount of conversation that's, as a baseline, just to feel like we're in this together, and such a different world. Felt like I was being dragged into a different world.
Something that I think I do. Tell me if I'm wrong, Alexandra. I have this quality, and I think it has to do with social, even though, like, it's my blind spot, but it's also my Sagittarius Venus, whatever. But I think one thing I'm pretty good at that, like, that's been a big thing in our relationship is like I'm curious about like different like particular things like about you. So like you being Puerto Rican, I was like, we like went to Puerto Rico and then got like books on the Taino culture and stuff like that.
Yeah, Santeria.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. And so like there's a thing there, even though I'm social blind, but I think that's kind of socially, right?
Yeah,
like,
it is social to me, yeah.
And so like that's a kind of like a important thing too. Is like like all the I don't know how to put a name on it, but I feel like it's a big thing in our relationship. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Kind of like piggybacking of the thing that you and I, John, were talking about, how regardless of your instinct stacking, there might be certain, maybe it could be due to certain types, that there might be certain instincts that get more emphasized in you for various reasons. And so, for example, you as an image type, even though you're social blind, compared to me, maybe you might come across more social in the sense that you can do more of the seeing, and you can do more of the, the heart center has more of a social bent to it than, and me as a gut type, there might be more of a leaning into self-pres, because boundaries and holding and all those kinds of things. And so, it's interesting how between the both of us, you might seem less social blind compared to me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I might seem more self-presy compared to you.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
John's actually a social type.
Yeah, I don't know if I've talked about this on the pod, or I think I have, but we joke that I'm the real social type and she's the real sexual type. I've talked about that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, because there can be like, I think maybe this is something for another episode, but like the thing we talked about with the optimal distance with each of the instincts. But I think there's the way that a relationship can take on a flavor of a certain instinct, regardless of the instinct stackings of the people involved. There might be like, because of your life experience and for whatever reason, some instinct is being overemphasized for you, and it might not be your dominant instinct. And so for me, for David, for example, even though he's a self-pres type, like he might, I don't know if this is correct or not, but he's got a lot more sexual instinct chaoticness going on, that somebody could mistake him as a sexual type, maybe because of his childhood and doubling down on women. There's like a, more ravenous. Yeah.
Fucking 7 fix.
7 fix is a real problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find that interesting. All the way that we manipulate everything to be our dominant.
Yep. Reframing.
Yeah. I wonder too, I mean, maybe this is a future episode, but there's, in astrology, there's like composite and synastry charts, which are like different. Like composites, like if you were to like do a natal chart for the relationship, and then a synastry is like what something in one person's chart activates in another's and stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting, like maybe it's typological or whatever, but if there's something comparatively similar where there's like a synastry and then there's like a composite chart within instincts or type or something like that, like Alexandra and I being self-pres middles, like that's our touchstone, but I don't feel like we're very self-pres together.
Right.
Yeah, we're not.
I feel like it's the gateway. I mean, maybe it's my bias. I would classify as a very sexual instinct couple.
I think so too.
But that middle instinct is like where when my love language approach and her love language approach aren't really meeting each other, we get into the self-pres zone, and that's where it starts to become more fluid. Does that make sense?
Yep.
No, that's interesting. How the composite relationship, instinctual relationship. I mean, and every relationship is so different. Like, it feels like every relationship I've had has been like I've been a different version of myself. Like, that relationship has a different instinctual connection. Yeah, that's something we could develop, maybe. Like a composite, instinctual composite.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. And, we didn't do it like this, but like in terms of instinctual love languages, I think we get like more, like there's those 5 of like gifts and quality time, all that kind of stuff. But I suspect we could get much more like specific, or maybe there's more that whoever the author of those things, wasn't accounting for something like social blindness or something like that. Or that something like words of affirmation can look different depending on where social is in your stacking, or what's been missing, or even something along the lines of, this is your dominant love language, but this is your blind spot love language. And in a sense, what you need a lot more of, but you just don't even know that you need that. And then you go to your primary love language to try to get that in some weird backwards way. I don't know, something along those lines.
Those long languages are very SPSO. Like, there's no sexual instinct love languages on there. I would add some love languages that would that feel more like sexual instinct love languages.
Yeah, and I feel probably like at least a couple you could add.
Yeah, like co-creation, like that we make something together. To me, is the love language.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. And then also like distinguishing between physical touch and like sensual touch. Yeah, could be one, like. Because I see a lot of couples that are very touchy, but it feels very sweet. It feels,
it's for comfort versus for excitation.
Yeah.
Whereas,
or possession. Even. You know what I mean? There's
possession.
Touch
Yeah. Exactly.
And quality time needs like subtypes. Quality time
totally does.
means something completely different. Because if for some people, quality time means we're going to sit there, or I need you to actually be paying attention to me. How much of your attention is locked on to me? Right. And so for some people, quality time is like we're doing things together, or
totally,
so it's what kind of quality time are we talking about?
Like a lot of self-pres social couples like to work out together. Yeah, but they like
I'd kill myself.
They're like lifting weights next to each other or spotting each other, but it's not really like.
Yeah.
It's like having a co-pilot or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's just having like a partner. It's just having company versus like engaging with that company. That's where I could get fired up, because I don't even, in a lot of ways, I don't even consider, there's like watching a movie together is quality time, but it's still, our focus is on something else. And I usually get more excited for the movie to be over so that we can engage with each other about what we just watched.
Yep.
Right.
Or she gets excited to fall asleep during the movie.
Or I fall asleep.
Speaking of that, it's getting close to your show.
Oh, yeah.
So you can take your attention away from John.
Yeah.
And all of you fucking social blind monsters.
What is this show that's so important and interesting that
The Bachelor?
It's not The Bachelor. No, it's not. It's not The Bachelor.
Something
worse. It's just as bad, though. No, it's is it worse?
What is it?
It's the Love is Blind reunion show.
You are the scum of the earth.
No, I'm not. It's happening live. It was real messy. People are going to come.
Lady drama.
And apparently they're going to air their laundry, and I'm here for it. Lady drama's here for it.
I've been trying to get her to like do little posts about these things for her website, because she's got a little section for it. And
you should just live stream it. And just
for real. For real.
That would be the better way, rather than having to write.
People just sit there and watch people watch shit. Like I still don't get it.
So wild.
But streamers.
That still feels too much of a line to 3 to me that I just can't get comfortable with. I'm still just like, nobody's gonna fucking want to watch me watch stuff.
Yeah, they will. You're a hot girl. Yeah. You're cute. You're funny. Yeah.
I've seen girls who didn't say anything. They were just on camera, and they've got like thousands of people watching them. And I'm like, we're all television channels now.
Yeah. get her in a little bikini or something. And
Oh,
watch it.
never.
Get a whole new crowd.
Who needs a
Yeah.
job? Like if I had a vagina, I would not have to work. I would just turn the camera on me, and they would just see me browse the internet all day and I'd make.
Yeah, well, right. We've been joking and
Hate
making
my nails.
the Enneagram OnlyFans. Just
Oh, right. Yeah, just have on the back of John's book, just have his face and also an only what's it called? OnlyFans link.
Yep. There you go.
It'd be very on brand for us. People would
more
not be
content.
surprised.
Yeah. All right.
No,
Is
this-
there enough here for that?
Yeah,
so.
I think
good.
I think so.
I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, that
I
was
feel like
cool
there's
too.
a lot more we could build.
Yeah.
there is. We should think about, I don't know how we're feeling about having guests or whatever, but for this topic, yeah, because we have
having guests.
the only stackings that aren't represented when Nancy is also here are the self-press blinds. So you could find two, quality self-press blinds. Kaisa could come on, obviously,
Oh, yeah.
and
Mhm.
find a good social
Social
She'd
sexual.
like to come
sexual.
on if you guys want to do that.
We get Joseph on.
Yeah, there we go.
That'd be cool.
And then
Yeah.
just talk about our, love languages from our own stackings. We can only
Yeah,
speak
that's-
to our perspectives all having self-pres. Like, self-pres blind is a whole different thing.
Anyway.
It's Love is Blind time, guys. I'll let you know what happens.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We'll be waiting. We'll
We'll be looking for the blog.
and looking forward to your notes. Because I know you're taking
it
notes.
would be fun. I still kind of think you'd be into it.
I think you need
it's
to
like
take those
messy.
thoughts and throw
it
them in
gives
the
you
trash.
plenty of opportunity.
That's what you need to do. Stop projecting your social 9 propaganda on
No,
us.
if somebody loves to talk about people in this between the three of you, it's fucking you, dude.
Stop, gaslighting me. Stop gaslighting me, misrepresenting
All
who
right.
I am, and validating
All
my
right.
experience.
Whatever.
You drop.
I see your social instinct. That's all there is.
Now it comes.
I reject everything you just said.
Well, whatever.
You
we'll
will not
watch it
continue-
in a couple weeks.
You will not sabotage me any longer. I am enjoying my life of peace and happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Fine.
All right.
All right. Word.
I have to go.
All right, guys.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
I'm crashing.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Good to
See you soon.
See you
Bye, guys.